Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today we're here to celebrate moms. You know, for me, becoming a mom has been the most amazing, incredible adventure of my life. It's been so rewarding and fulfilling. And it wasn't until I became a mom that I really, truly appreciated my mother and all mothers. I was kind of one of those bratty kids that just took moms for granted. And then 10 years ago, I became a mom for the first time. And was like, holy cow, this is 2 full-time jobs. And that was when I had 1. Now I have 4. People ask me what I do in my free time, and I'm like, free time? You mean that's not like scrubbing boogers off the wall, rearranging clothes? I haven't been to the bathroom alone in 10 years. My definition of multitasking has quadrupled. I'll ask my husband to make dinner and do the dishes, and he'll be like, I'm making dinner. And I'll be like, what? You can't make dinner, do the dishes, talk on the phone, and breastfeed the baby? Come on. So, after having kids, everything in my life became centered around putting my family first, my children, my family. And I sought out to seek community and connections that enhanced my family. And when I saw Andrew Yang on the debate stage for the first time, I didn't think much of him. And then, for some reason, I saw a Facebook post of a friend of mine, and she had a Yang 2020 t-shirt on. And there was something about that Facebook post that made me curious about him. So I went to his website and I researched him and his policies. And the more I learned about him and was connected to the Yang Gang, the more I just fell in love with him and wanted to get behind him 100%. And so I thought I could just get a group of my best friends together and tell them about him and thank him and thank his wife, Evelyn, for sharing him with me and with us and the rest of this country. So I'm very, very, very excited to be here and to do that. And I know for me, empowering myself and my family and my communities is a big, big part of being a mother, because you know, when we as moms feel good and better and excited about our lives, we can go and do that with our children and our husbands and our family and communities. And so I just want to thank Andrew for standing up for families and sharing this with us. So, with that, ladies, mothers of the Cedar Valley, please join me in welcoming the next First Lady of the United States, Evelyn Yang.
Thank you so much, Yep.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Kelly, and thank you so much, Moms for Yang, for having me here today. It is such a pleasure to be here, and such an honor to be speaking with a group of people who have given so much of their energy and support to my husband, Andrew, and to our family. As many of you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom now to our two boys, Christopher and Damien. They are the light of our lives, and I am involved in every aspect of their lives and education, and even the PTA president. So shout out to all the PTA moms. I've also had a professional career in marketing over the years. I graduated from Columbia University with a BA in economics, and I spent several years working at L'Oreal launching and managing various brands. Like Andrew, I've worked at companies large and small. I even went on to get my master's in professional studies. But do you know what they don't tell you when you are getting your degrees or working at a Fortune 500 company or helping to launch a startup? That being a mom is a job, and no one is a champion for stay-at-home moms. Even though it's irrefutable that what we do has immense value. When I was working outside the home, there was never any question that the work I did deserved compensation. Now that I'm working the hardest, most intense job of my career, and I used to have a 5:30 a.m. shift in high school. Now every day is a 5:30 a.m. shift, right? And a 1 p.m. shift, and a 6 p.m. shift, and an 10 p.m. shift, sometimes a 3 a.m. shift, just for fun. But, my job now is not even close to being viewed that way. I appreciate that Andrew actually talks about this. Having a politician say that the work women do in our society is the most unrecognized and uncompensated work is amazing. What's even more amazing is that I never said to Andrew, go run for president, so that the work I do at home can be valued finally. $1,000 a month would be a really nice start, and you can call it the freedom dividend. That wasn't me. That was all Andrew. He has always recognized the importance of the work that moms do, and he believes that parents need a choice. When we had Christopher, I was shocked. I was shocked by the overwhelming joy that he brought to our family, but I was shocked by the amount of work and the expense. Before Christopher was diagnosed with autism, we already knew he was different. It was clear to us that he really needed me to stay with him. And I had the fortune to be able to make that choice and stay at home with him full time. Now, so many Americans in our society do not have that choice. And it's a shame, because our society does not value that kind of work. Sorry, lost my place. So what I want to say here today is that I believe we've earned that choice. And I think that what we need as women and caregivers is access to quality childcare when we want it, but also a mechanism that recognizes the work we all are already doing every day in our homes. In many cases, moms are making great sacrifices to be at home taking care of our families. Sometimes it's not just children. Sometimes it's aging elderly parents. So caretaking doesn't just apply to children. And let's not forget all the single moms out there and single dads who are heroes, making enormous sacrifices every day to make sure that their family has what they need. It is absolutely critical that we, the mothers and caretakers in our society, have a voice and a choice. Between his paid family leave plan and the freedom dividend, Andrew is the only one speaking to that voice. And what I love so much about the freedom dividend is that it actually gives a lifeline to our children, so that if they fall on hard times, that they won't face extreme poverty and homelessness and hunger. It ensures that the country will have their backs the same way that we have their backs now. So I'm so proud of the work that Andrew is doing, trying to strengthen our families and our communities. And I'm so honored to introduce to you today the next President of the United States, my husband, Andrew Yang.
Thank you all so much. Let's give Evelyn my applause. Occasionally people thank me for running for president, and I say, thank my wife, because one, she allowed me to run. And number two, she was the one who was sacrificing the most by taking care of our kids while I was on the road 3, 4, 5 days a week. I would not be running for president if not for Evelyn and the boys in the most fundamental of ways. Most of you know that Christopher has special needs. He was our older son, and when he was born, we were first-time parents, and so we weren't sure whether what he was experiencing was normal. Because, remember, first-time kids, you're like, maybe 2-year-olds react like that, maybe 3-year-olds react like that. But there was this real sense of stress and anxiety, and Evelyn championed Christopher at every turn. She was like Batman, is what the joke was like, where she was like a freaking super detective, dig into it. And then eventually she brought him to see a doctor who evaluated him and determined that he was autistic. We found out when he was about to turn 4, and it was a massive relief for the family, massive relief for me. I know parents react differently when they find out that their kids are autistic. For me, it was actually this giant weight lifted because I felt like we understood. But it also made me so profoundly grateful to Evelyn, because if you left it to me, I wasn't playing Batman, you know what I mean? I don't know if this is a dad thing, but I was like, yeah, he's fine, and everything will be like, da-da-da. So some of the moms are laughing, because maybe they heard that. So then when we got this diagnosis, I was like, oh my gosh, that explains so much. And now we know, and then we can start trying to put resources in place to help Christopher develop. But that time, those 3.5 years were so stressful, and I saw how that period of time could tear our family apart. It's one reason why I'm championing free marriage counseling, because if a couple wants to stay together, we should help them do so. And that there are very, very tough times when you look at someone and you feel like that your love is being tested, and then if you can get through that period, then you can look back on them together hand in hand and say, wow, that was a very tough period. But many families aren't able to get through that time. We need to make sure that new moms can spend time with their kids. And I said in the last debate, there are only 2 countries in the world that don't have, this is a true story, oh my gosh. So I've been running for president now for about 2 years. And so there was a period about a year ago when I tried to figure out which countries did not have mandatory leave for new moms. And there were 5 countries on that list. It was Liberia, Lesotho, Swaziland, Papua New Guinea, and the United States of America. That was the list. Now here's the kicker. Lesotho, Swaziland, and Liberia actually passed it in the last year. And so now the list is just us and Papua New Guinea. And so literally the list changed while I've been running for president to leave America alone with Papua New Guinea. And so that's how ridiculous we are. That's how brainwashed we are into thinking that somehow we're all subject to this capital efficiency machine, and that it's somehow quote unquote bad for business if moms can spend time with their kids. I'm a business guy, and I know it's insane. The practical end impact of not having paid family leave for new moms is that you push moms out of the workforce, which is terrible for any organization. Like, you have a woman that's key to the organization, and then she feels like she has to choose between family and work, and then she chooses family, and then you lose her. Like, that's a disaster for business. It's a disaster for business if you have kids who are growing up and not getting every possible resource that they can so that they can grow and mature into strong adults. That's very bad for business. So, as a parent and a human being, it's obvious, and we all know, like, we should have had paid family leave decades ago. So I'm saying 6 months for new parents that you can then divvy up between the parents. I'm also saying we should have $1,000 a month for every adult, which would take the weight off many parents. And I'm saying we should have childcare and pre-K starting at age 3 if you decide that you want to either drop the kid off or put them into the school system. And studies have shown that the sooner you get the child into some kind of nurturing environment in that way, if it's home, great. But if you want to return to the workforce, or you're already in the workforce and you want to drop the kid off someplace, we should be paying for that. I understand what trade-offs families are making all the time. When you look up and say, how much does daycare cost? And you look at it, you're like, what? Daycare costs this, what? And then you're like, okay, so if you go to work, all of the money that you'll be making will go to daycare. So why are you working again? Is the daycare going to be like better for the child than time with you? No. You know, like that's and then some enterprising moms out there say, you know what, I'm gonna start my own daycare. That does happen somewhat. Because you look at the prices and you're like, I have to be able to do better than that. How many of you can relate to some of the stuff I'm talking about? Yes, everyone, right? So we have to put resources into our hands and our communities where our families can start to address our own needs, and also pool resources so that if you do want a daycare, it's not going to break the bank, it's not going to be more than your paycheck, it's not going to be something that is cost prohibitive for families. And this is an instance where an investment on the part of our community actually pays for itself many times over. This country has become penny-wise and pound-foolish, essentially. You know what I mean? And all of our measurements are driving us away from things that would actually make our communities and families stronger and healthier. Like, we worship the stock market and GDP while our stress levels are through the roof, anxiety, depression. Our communities are in a deep depression by any measurement that you would use that's not the stock market, essentially. And as your president, I'm going to help us evolve to the real measurements that would tell us how our families are doing. So, Evelyn, just want to say I love you so much, and I'm so grateful to you. She was talking to someone in the back, so that's cool. And thank you for allowing me to run for president, and thank you for making our family strong and whole. I would not be able to do any of this without you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yummy, 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 yummy.